I got a black ski mask, but I don't ski, but I snowboard, dash an MC off peak. If one of you try violate me, you get a punch in the face with my front door key. Punch in the neck with my back door key. Boxing them out with my X6 key. Box in the eye with a fob I used to log into my HSBC. Talk about banks, kill him with peas. Run up in your gal's house with 2 of my G's. Get the money out, put the money in his mouth, then suffocate man with about 2 G's. Suffocate man with about 4 G's. Suffocate man, then I might just breathe. I'll bury man 2 foot shallow, ain't got time to dig 6 feet deep. These MCs and rappers wanna chat about their syllables and their multis and their similes and all that shit. Then I come through with my ABC. Girls and man are like Jamie's deep. Bare pictures when they see me on street. Old school rude boy like Crazy T. All you man don't want it with me. I'm a bad rude boy MC. Say my name, J-M-E. Nostradamus couldn't see me. Expelliarmus couldn't stop me. How could a man with a uni degree be busting up mic and chatting his grief? Cause the music originated and will always remain in the streets. What about? Man don't care about all that. It's blotting now. Man don't care about all that. Who's not allowed? Man don't care about all that. Knock him out. Man don't care about all that.
What about? Man don't care about all that. Just drop him out. Man don't care about all that. I just crop him out. Man don't care about all that. He's forgotten about. Cause man don't care about all that. Cause I'm the most immediate. He's just an old school idiot. He doing local things, but we be them local geezers. Just look at my list of friends and he holds them up with tweezers. Yeah, man used to move that white, yeah, we be them old school dealers. She's lighting up some senses, he's lighting up amnesias. I'm about to get it started, I'm about to get amnesia. Man might have to move up Velma, might have to touch Louise's. Cause at the top it's just us here, man, had to quote Lil Reese's. Like Batman, dun it hardest. Just let me confirm it, loafers. Just have to be Hermers, burners. When bapping hit burners, furnace. I'm back at big burners, that's my spot, I'm back with that permit. Pull that pistol back and then burn it. Friday shit, I'm back and big worm it. Excuse me, what pardon? I had to just ask him. I am man, the man could just stalk him. Man's like, ooh, I'm back with that margin. And then even back in that garden where the blood clot, I'm back to Dun Gargan. Started off light, I think, and then darken. Holloman G and me and I'm talking. Killing with D, killing MC. Digestives, cinnamon tea. Ain't no feeling his shoes, cause they still on his feet. Man's down south hustling with no gold grill in his teeth.
What about? Man don't care about all that. It's blotting now. Man don't care about all that. Who's not allowed? Man don't care about all that. Knock him out. Man don't care about all that.
What about? Man don't care about all that. Just drop him out. Man don't care about all that. I just crop him out. Man don't care about all that. He's forgotten about. Cause man don't care about all that.
What you mean, what you mean? Yeah. Skepta. One line flows, yeah, I got some of those. You get me, Jamie? Easy. Nah, that's not me. Act like a waste man, that's not me. Sex any girl, nah, that's not me. Lips any girl, nah, that's not me. Yeah, I used to wear Gucci, I put it all in the bin, cause that's not me. True, I used to look like you, but dressing like a mess, nah, that's not me. It's the return of the Mac. I'm still alive just like Tupac. Girls in the front row, girls in the back. Spit one lyric, everybody's like brat. Flashback to the cold nights in the trap. Now I'm in a new whip, counting a big stack. Yellow gold chain and the diamonds are black. Chat me, nah, you don't wanna do that. Anytime you see me wearing a glove, boy, better know I ain't come here to fight like Jet Li. Spray this till the clip is empty. I know you get what I'm saying, you get me. Love for the G's in the ends, but we don't love no girls in the ends. Last time I fell in love with a skep, but trust me, I will never do that again. No, that's not me. Act like a waste man, that's not me. Sex any girl, nah, that's not me. Lips any girl, nah, that's not me. Yeah, I used to wear LV, put it all in the bin, cause that's not me. True, I used to look like you, but dressing like a mess, nah, that's not me. See me, I come from the roads. Pricks wanna try and put Skepta and hold, but no. Bad boy, I've been one of those. Wake up cool, you will get one of those. One to the eyeball, one to the nose. I don't really care about your postcode. Take your girl, no dinner, no rolls. 2 minutes in my bedroom, no clothes. Girls everywhere, girls in the club. Looking at me trying to make a black man blush. Girls on the high street, girls on the bus. But these niggas wanna hang around us, that's us. I don't wanna see a Stone Island cuz. Man talk shit, I just smile and flush. I'm looking for a girl with the X factor, but I don't judge like Simon does.
From day one I said I was serious, then serious hit the jackpot. People ask what music I make, turn the volume up, cause that's what. I don't wear no bait designer brands, I spit deep bars in my black top. You'll never see me smoking a cigarette car, cigarette smoker, that's not me. Nah, that's not me. Nah, that's not. When I'm on a mic in a rave, I got the whole crowd bubbling like a crack pot. See me and Skepta in a video with a nostalgic backdrop. There'll never be a day when I don't make music, cause silent, nah, that's not me.
Nah, that's not me. Act like a waste man, that's not me. Sex any girl, nah, that's not me. Lips any girl, nah, that's not me. Yeah, I used to wear Gucci, I put it all in the bin, cause that's not me. True, I used to look like you, but dressing like a mess, nah, that's not me. Act like a waste man, that's not me. Sex any girl, nah, that's not me. Lips any girl, nah, that's not me. Yeah, I used to wear Gucci, I put it all in the bin, cause that's not me. True, I used to look like you, but dressing like a mess, nah, that's not me.
Yo, yo, welcome, welcome. What up, everybody? All right, I'm just gonna settle in here for a moment. Check chat. Hopefully everybody's doing well. What up, everybody? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Okay. So a little bit of a preamble, if you will. Today we'll dive into Bitcoin per usual. We're obviously going to spend the majority of our time there with plans and preparation. I'm sure you guys maybe a question about tomorrow, being the CPI, DLDR, don't care. Generally speaking, I don't really care that much about these kind of events other than the fact that they're just going to produce some sort of volatility trade. But yeah, we'll dive into Bitcoin. Going to be covering the plans for up, the plans for down, cover where I'm at with my macro thesis. Is it possible I'm still bullish? Tune in to find out. So yeah, hopefully everyone's doing well. Before I get started with the official rundown, can you guys confirm that the sound is good? Music's not too loud, you can hear me clearly, etc. I am the opposite of a sound engineer, whatever that is. All good. All right, thanks, brothers. All right. Cool. Well, yeah, hopefully everyone's doing well. Per usual, I like to, run through Bitcoin top to bottom for anybody that's new. I would ask that you guys try to keep your questions relevant to what we're talking about. It just makes things easier for me to answer questions. If we're talking about Bitcoin, let's not talk about some Dex screen shitcoin that was listed 5 days ago, right? All right, though, let's go ahead and get into some stuff. All right, we'll start off with the macro, and then we will slowly work our way down to medium time frame. Okay, so a few different things that we want to cover here. First of all, probably a good idea to drive home the lesson. Mic could be a little louder. Really? I feel like the music's just too loud. Hold up. Turn the mic up a little bit. I normally like progressively get louder throughout the stream as I get more like warmed up. Okay, so a few different things I want to run through on macro. Let's see, where do we want to start? The first kind of argument I want to make is around, well, actually, let's start truly from the beginning, right? So the beginning was, you know, that we're trend respecters the whole beginning of the trend. Once we started the range compression, we were pretty, you know, sure that you didn't want to be directionally trading anymore. Did I expect it to play out with this like kind of downwards triangle, or like, you know, it's just like in a downwards trend channel right now? No, I didn't really expect it to play out this way. I did think that we'd be more bullish sooner. So the main question for a lot of you guys are going to have is, for the higher time frame, like what's going to happen next, right? Are we going to go down or are we going to go up? So I'm going to go ahead and cover those things. I always like to make the point that I separate positional risk from my plans, right? So my plan is still that the market's going to go up. I'm still absolutely planning for that, but that doesn't mean that I'm taking that risk, right? I've been, you know, de-risked for a while now. I've been waiting for what feels like an eternity for the market to give me a reason to go risk on, and until it does so, I'm just going to focus on intraday and stuff like that, and, you know, have a major emphasis on just not letting my portfolio bleed out. I did really well in 2023 and at the very beginning of 2024. I don't want to lose that money, right? So just because we get a move like we got last week or the week, you know, before that, we get these kind of moves where we reclaim over levels, it doesn't mean shit, right? We need follow through, and we've yet to see any real follow through. So here's how I'm looking at it right now. As far as I'm concerned with higher time frame, until the bulls can reclaim 60K, which we're going to go over levels in more detail when we get there, but really essentially this is it right here, right? Macro support needs to get reclaimed. Is overlapping with the quarterly and yearly VWAP as well, roughly. So this is the end all be all like reclaim zone. So basically, I don't really think that you can be bullish for anything more than reversion, right? If we trade down and you want to trade you know, a bounce long, that's fine, right? But to trade that kind of long, there's no point in aiming for that until we start like reclaiming and showing strength above 60K. So yeah, to be clear, I really kind of think that right now, do I think you should be betting directionally on down? No, because I really don't care to directionally short that much. But that's really much more of a personal preference kind of thing than anything. So yeah, I mean, essentially, this is, it depends on how you want to define things. I still call this a range. Some people are going to call this like a downtrend. If it is a downtrend, it's an extremely weak downtrend. So what I was saying in my outlook yesterday was that we're at that point where we're about to either see the trend, kind of this like downtrend, get invalidated by a big fat green candle one day, whether that's next week, in a couple months, whatever, who knows, right? The reflexive nature of markets, if we get one up candle that goes up $6,000, everybody will be bullish again, right? That's just how it works. Or are we about to see this downtrend actually expedite? If you look at how these kind of things play out in previous moments, you kind of, at the beginning of a trend shift, you can't really tell that it's a trend shift unless you want to preemptively bet, which is what I did this time around. But the trend shift really comes when you get that blowout candle. So if we're going to turn this into a downtrend, I'm not really going to look at it as a downtrend I want to bet on until we get like a candle like this that really fucks the structure and shows us that bulls are cooked. And then that's, you know, this sounds dumb almost, but that's when I would start to look for swing shorts on the bounces from a big sell-off, right? Up here, I don't really care about swing shorting. I'm hedged from 71K, and I'm just going to chill and have no interest in trying to trade to the downside, to be honest. So hopefully that's all clear. I'm just presenting the arguments that right now, it like obviously looks like the market wants to just, fuck's my delete button. It looks like the market obviously wants to just keep going down, right? But always be reminded of the fact that, like, we've seen this before. Like, this is a good example of that. During the, you know, summer of 2021, this was pretty brutal, right? This was historically one of the largest liquidation events we've ever gotten. And when you look at this structure down here too, the structure looked dog shit, right? It was like this, right? And then all that happens one day is you start to get a little bit of momentum, and then boom, you blow out shorts. The Binance shorter that like got liquidated on this move, it was wild, right? And then that's enough to spark momentum upwards. So I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but it is definitely a possibility. And if we get a big up candle and it has follow through, that's like the kind of momentum spark that we're looking for to go back to being optimistic about shit. I'm directionally short right now, I'll throw that out. So I'm a little bit biased towards the downside, if I'm being honest. All right, so that's essentially the TLDR of higher time frame, right? I still think we trade up on position defensively. I've been positioned defensively for a really long time now. You know, this chop is, for people that have been in the Paragon, this chop has hopefully been such a great lesson around why I'm not quick to make those positional changes. And okay, we came into support and I'm hedged from up here, so it's time to close out my hedge because we're at support, right? Well, if I did that, you know, I would be in a bad situation right now. So you don't want to be quick with pivoting back to risk on. Just wait till it's blatantly obvious. So if there's any questions about high time frame, let me know. Otherwise, we'll move our way down. Hopefully that's all clear though. I'm looking for the risk on signs to go gig along and to close out my hedge. I'll just go ahead and throw this out there because I've been talking about this in a lot of detail in the group. If I don't get a reason to go risk on in the next week or two, which realistically isn't that likely, I'm going to end up having to close out my hedge because of the expiration, and I'm going to end up having a sell-off spot. So I want nothing more than to be a bull, right? And to be long, or to have a reason to be long. However, having said all that, guys, if I don't get a reason to transition to being risk on here soon, that means I'm going to be forced to de-risk to defend myself. I know that maybe doesn't sound like it's super exciting shit to talk about or anything, but I promise you that those are the kind of decisions that later down the line, in 10 years in the future, you're going to thank yourself for not losing your fucking money that you made, right? I did really well during this, right? Particularly like Q4 of last year and Q1 of this year. I did, you know, that would be this and this. I mean, I haven't had honestly, I was doing my review for last month and I haven't had a good fucking win since like March in the markets, if I'm being honest. But anyways, hopefully that all makes sense. We'll catch up with chat here and see where we're going. Do you use daily closes as part of your system, or wicks? Seen people calling it's high or low. Yeah, so I don't really care about candlestick closes or anything. I think that shit's generally a meme for the most part. So I'll word it like this, you know. Here's how I like to explain the candlestick close shit. Let's say we're gonna do dailies. So we'll do 1 days. Ignore my drawings; they're gonna be ugly because I'm not using my good drawing tool. If we're gonna be doing 1 day, you know, daily closes. So let's make an example up. Let's say you open the day up here, you trade up, and then the day trades down. It wicks down, and then and then the day closes out here. You would look at this candle and say, wow, look at that wick, right? There's like buyers came in and defended that level. So this on a daily looks like it might be setting up for like another up candle, right? Is how I would maybe describe that if you were operating in a vacuum without any extra information. What happens when the market it closes like this instead? Because somebody didn't come in and buy it the last 30 minutes of the day, and instead they bought after the daily open came through. You could have, could be the same exact buying and selling. The only difference is that with this example on the right, the dude came in and bought 30 minutes later. He bought 30 minutes after the daily close instead of 20 minutes before the daily close or something like that, right? Like, I know that's like an hour, not 30 minutes, but you get my point, right? It's such a subjective idea about candlestick closes. Oh, we closed a 15-minute candle above my line, so it makes sense to long. What happens when right before that candlestick closes somebody sold, and then the candle after that somebody buys, right? Hopefully what I'm saying makes some sense. It's such a subjective thing, and there's so much randomness in the market. Like when a dude buys and sells, it has nothing, it could have absolutely nothing to do with the candlestick close. So guys, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. You wanna know why people teach candlestick close type shit to you? Because it's fucking easy to explain, and it sounds kind of like it makes sense until you start to break it down. So that's really what it comes down to. People teach shit like that because it's the same reason why people fucking teach basic risk to reward, right? Oh, I'm taking a 2-hour trade, right? Real traders know that this is dumb, right? That fixed risk to reward is dumb. Dynamic risk to reward is the only way to view that shit. So I view candlestick closes in the same light. And then I could take that conversation and say it's the same thing to time frames or any of those common questions I get a lot of the time, right? I don't believe in like specific time frames, right? Because an hourly is just 2 30-minutes, right? The 30-minute candles are going to give me more information, but it adds up to give me the same information that the hourly did. I'm going to digress from that rant. Hopefully that made sense. I just get asked all the time, and I always have to explain it, and I don't understand why other educators aren't explaining it similarly to me, because I feel like I'm definitely on to something with that. Usually got to crank 80% to hear you decent. Interesting. What up, guys? What up? What up, Lear? Why not just reopen the short? It's mathematically the same. No? It's not psychologically the same, though. I assume, Jonathan, you're talking about my hedge, that it's going to expire this month. Maybe somebody can just like tell me I'm stupid in the chat. I've never let a legitimate trade roll over on futures, so I'm always worried about how that's going to play out. I mean, it's a large amount of money, right? So I don't want to really gamble with how the rollovers play out. And no, I don't want to open a hedge here at 56K. I'd rather just sell my spot back, honestly. It might be, it's a legitimate point, Jonathan, that mathematically it's the same, but psychologically it's not the same. The way that my risk, like, defense is set up now has a huge impact on my psychology because I feel fucking good about what's happening, right? Versus if I was to hedge at 56K, yes, it would mathematically be the same. Like, my portfolio balance would absolutely stay the same. However, psychologically, it would be a lot harder for me to handle holding that hedge. Psychology matters a lot. I want to feel like I'm like doing well. I want to feel like I'm making good decisions. I want to feel like I'm winning. Because like I feel like I'm a momentum kind of performer. I need momentum. All right, more questions. I had been saying this last time. Is easy mode was March, so it lines up with your I haven't had a good trade since it's like right here. This was a really good Dalai Lama trade setup that I took. I bought Solana, I bought WIF, I bought FET, and I think I have one other altcoin plus Bitcoin. And my WIF trade from this Dalai Lama setup basically paid for my whole year so far. I don't think I'm gonna have a trade that's gonna. I'm hoping that I have a trade, but realistically right now it looks like I'm probably not gonna have a trade that's gonna be better than my WIF one. People calling for the top in Q4. Good. That's great, bro. Honestly. I think I shouldn't have, the whole bullish later in the year thing, I should have just shut the fuck up about, honestly. I really actually believe that when people like say stuff like that over and over again, and then other people start saying it too, it it just became consensus to be bullish later in the year. So if it starts to become consensus to be bearish at the end of the year, then that's the stars aligning for us, boys. When did you become a polka dot maxi? Nice try, buddy. Dog shit coin. Nice way of describing it. No problem, George. Thank you. All right. Are sweeps a previous high / lows important in your system? Yes, but like I feel like the way you're asking that, it like lacks nuance. Yes. Yeah, I play sweeps. I play sweeps for different reasons than other people. I don't do the whole, there's 3 equal lows, so there must be liquidity down here. Liquidity. Yeah, I'm not one of these liquidity nerds where they just make shit up. I don't believe in that stuff. It's more objective. It's about like watching people get forced in and out of positions and stuff more than anything. It's like boomer candlestick patterns. Yeah, I don't know why people believe in the boomer candlestick patterns. This is a ascending, this is a fucking rising star or whatever. This is 3 white soldiers. Like, Jesus Christ, guys. Candle closers are just a boomer tool on high time frame. Yeah, so I think that like on really high time frame, candlestick closes make more sense, right? So if you're like on a weekly, monthly, those kind of candlestick closes make a lot more sense to me to use. But again, I still would never action off that stuff. Pro tip, I calculate my trades based on how many pot noodles I'll be eating the rest of the week. Okay, so I actually, when I first started trading, I used to calculate my P&L in food as well. I'm not even joking. So at the end of the day, I would literally report back my P&L to my roommate, as in I lost this many meals or I gained this many meals today. It was just good fun more than anything. We must pump the monthly close so Magus doesn't dump his spot on us. Well, the beauty is that my spot isn't gonna, if I dump my spot, guys, it's not gonna affect price, right? Bitcoin's doing $10 billion a day or more in volume, even in slow periods. So I assure you, for those of you guys that are goofy enough to have saw that tweet this weekend and you think I'm a billionaire, I can assure you I'm not fucking coming on YouTube and talking to you if I'm a billionaire. I would never interact with you guys ever in my life if I was that rich. Damn, you guys are typing in the chat. I'm struggling to catch up with everybody. I'm gonna try my best. People like to argue and call others names, just go exploit other strategies and make money. People are mid-curving boomer tools. Well, I don't know if that's directed at people in the chat or at me, but specifically with Candlestick closes, I've more or less confirmed that shit's retarded. Like, I've done stat studies on it and stuff. It's not like I'm just making fun of it indiscriminately. You got like a 70% intraday dolly on Say. Oh yeah, you're talking about from this move. I don't think I bought Say on that though. I don't remember. All I remember really is Whiff, just because that was my big win. But I did take a bunch of trades on that. Magus is a Sui Maxi. Any strategy or signal can be a fake or a deviation. Absolutely. If you get really comfortable at reading flows, though, you can have a better idea of what's likely to be a fake out versus a deviation. Price structuring also increases or decreases the likelihood of fake out or deviation, right? I made a tweet about this just the other day. You're looking for healthy structure to have a real breakout. Rising cock pattern. What do you use to define sweep areas? Yeah, so guys, like, I don't do that whole, like, we're in an uptrend, we're right here, so I'm only going to buy when we sweep this low. Or we're in a range and this is the low and I'm only going to buy if we sweep this low. I don't do anything like that if that's what you're asking. I'm looking for positional changes, right? I'm looking for people to get forced out of position and stuff like that. Has nothing, we don't, people are still stuck in the 2019 BitMEX days where we think that, like, I have to buy down here if I want to buy, when in reality you just fucking buy this, right? We're not in these like super predatory days where it's run the stops of the remaining plebs type days anymore. We have much more efficient, like, stable price action compared to what we're used to. So hyper fixating on sweeps just doesn't make sense anymore. You're just gonna miss all your trades. How do you determine when to swing versus scalp? Have a hard time deciding on this ranging PA. Well, straight up, dude, if you're in ranging PA like this, right? So basically since March, you shouldn't be trading any sort of momentum other than range to range. So when we're in regimes like this, I just slowly move away from momentum, right? So I traded momentum at the beginning, like these kind of moves, but now there's not going to be much momentum left until we break this range. So, I'm not scalping at all right now. Activity rates on altcoins are too low to scalp, so I'm just intraday trading Bitcoin to keep myself entertained. But to answer your question, right, when do you swing, when do you scalp, when do you go risk on, when do you go risk off, when do you do any of these kind of decisions? It's all about understanding, the ebb and flow of all markets ever do is range and then trend and range and trend, and trend and then range. That's all we have the option. So you need to be asking yourself, are we ranging? Are we trending? What does liquidity look like? What does active participation look like? Any of these kind of parameters you can come up with to determine what you should be doing, right? Definitely explain that stuff a lot. I guess, do you keep a journal of the last big trade / easy mode? Do we know volatility and favorable market conditions always return? I imagine keeping a note of these can help you believe when the market is shit. So I don't have like a journal that specifically says that, but yes, like my journal, which you're in the Paragon, so you probably have seen my journal before. My journal just like makes notes about how active, you know, it literally is noting out those things. And then I do have a chart that I haven't finished making in Excel, but yeah, basically if I have my Excel sheet that shows, it's not really Excel either, it's Google Sheets, but it shows like, okay, today was low participation, high liquidity, you know, this amount of volatility or whatever, and then I can add all those together. So that is something I'm working on, but I just haven't done the final stage. To be honest, I actually need Charlie's help with the Excel formulas because he's a Excel nerd. Honestly though, like, so if you're wondering like, will these you know, environments ever return, it's basically guarantee that they will in some version or another, right? They just won't exist exactly the same as they previously did. You know, a good lesson for that is look at this cycle compared to last cycle, you know, the altcoin dispersion, etc., etc. If you don't follow candle closes, do you use the whole candlestick, including the wick, for SR levels then? No, because, dude, I don't really do SR levels that much, right? Like, the only SR levels that you'll ever, like, see on my chart are going to be things like this, like macro support. Like, I did draw 60K, and, like, I'm straight up just eyeballing this shit. Like, go to the weekly. Okay, I can see some, this is clearly an area that's getting interacted with. Go to, like, a 4-hour and say, like, okay, it's clearly a level that's getting interacted with. And also, I knew 60K mattered a lot because I traded off 60K last cycle a lot as well. Last cycle, I used 60K for my bull and bear bias a lot. Especially, it helped me pivot to being bull bearish very early. Right here. Best trade in my life. Hopefully that makes sense, right? So yeah, I mean, when you're looking like macro support and resistance, right? It's just like, I'm just fucking eyeballing it. I'm not sitting here trying to be a nerd about where the wicks are, where the bodies are. I don't think about any of that kind of stuff. I'm just literally eyeballing it. A huge majority of the trading levels that I use, guys, are not manual. Most of the levels I use are auto-drawn with VWAPs and profiles and stuff like that. I believe in auto-drawn levels. I do not believe in the discretion of like, well, this body matches up better with this body, but then there's this wick. I don't do any of that shit. I think that you're just getting lost in the source at that point. Magus, you should write about your beginnings. Calculate P&L and food is telling me about some very humble beginnings. People would love that. No, I wasn't. Look, no LARP, right? I wasn't doing that because like I didn't have, like I couldn't eat, right? I had a full-time corporate job back then. So I was like, relative to your average person, I was like making a normal person salary back then. I am gonna do beginnings kind of thing because I got asked about that and got really good feedback when I asked about it on Twitter yesterday. So I am gonna do a video on that at some point where I talk about why I, you know, chose the path and some of the things I had to go through. I thought when I first asked that, I thought that was gonna be cringe and no one was gonna want to hear that. But I've been very, very surprised to hear people want to hear about my history. So humble beginnings is all relative, right? I'm a Westerner, you know, so like having humble beginnings as a Westerner is different depending, you know, compared to some other regions in the world. Like, yeah, you know, I didn't really have like a dad growing up or around, and you know, we definitely didn't have a lot of money growing up, but relative to some of the places in the world I've seen, we were rich. You know, I've been to poor places in the world. I've been all around. So it makes you, you know, if I ever thought things were hard for me when I was growing up, you know, when I was an adult going around the world, quickly realized like I had that shit easy. My life has been very easy and very lucky thus far, in my opinion. Do you any value-based investing outside? Do you do any value-based investing outside of crypto? Not really. I used to trade stocks and commodities a lot before I traded crypto for the first couple of years. I word it like this. I do own I have some commodities exposure, and I have some exposure, you know, to the big indexes, but that's basically it. I just passively invest in index funds, you know, so I have mutual funds and ETF exposure. That's pretty much where I put my money for boomer stuff. I'm not interested in being a stock picker, trying to do value-based investing or anything. I'm just going to put money in things like the NASDAQ, the S&P, and just like let the market go up for me, you know? That's how I view that stuff. Do you use Agar? I do, just for reading simple TWAP stuff mostly. Reading flow, the main factor to determine regime range versus trend. Yeah, range versus trend is going to be the most important thing, but there are a lot of other factors that you need to keep in mind, such as liquidity, activity rates, volatility, etc. Yeah, you definitely want to think about all that stuff. How much leverage do you use? Leverage doesn't matter, guys. Position size is what matters. How much am I risking, and how large is my position? That's what matters. Leverage percentage, X's, that shit doesn't matter, guys. If I have $300,000 and I take 20 of that and go and trade it on 3x at 60K, 3x is low leverage for crypto traders, but for like a reasonable person, 3x is a lot of leverage. Is this like taking a large risk for me? Think about it like that, right? Sorry that it looks disgusting. I'm not using my drawing tool. Right? Is taking a 60K position when you have $300,000 a lot of risk, right? At 3x? No, it's really not, right? In terms of percentages. But let's say you have 30K. So you have $30,000 and you take 20 of that and you trade it on 3x to trade 60K, right? Is this a lot of risk? Obviously so. This number doesn't fucking matter, right? This number could be the same across all my trades, but there's going to be varying levels of risk. The position size is really all that matters, not the leverage. So if I'm being honest with you guys, most of my trading is pretty low leverage. The only reason why I ever use leverage is mostly for just counterparty and capital, efficiency. If I need, for example, my Bitcoin hedge is using leverage because I don't want to have to go and fucking use that amount of stable coins to go and hedge my shit when I can trade it on 2x and use half the money. So hopefully that's useful. I don't know why I have to always explain this, and I'm not even trying to single you out by any means. I'm just trying to pass on the knowledge. Leverage does not matter. Position size matters. The main uses for leverage should be for capital efficiency. You guys are typing so many questions in the chat. How do you approach oscillator divergences, especially when it comes to multi-time frame analysis? I don't. Simple. I don't trade divergence. I don't trade oscillators. Yeah, I have an oscillator on my chart, but I don't really ever use it. So I can't really answer that question because I just don't really care much for divergence. Your tweets and videos are appreciated. Enjoy the content. Thanks, Captain. Yeah, been using candle closes as levels, typically on daily or weekly time frame. At the end of the day, dude, that's totally up to you. I'm not even trying to tell you not to do anything. All I can do is just say how I do things. That doesn't mean there's only wrong answers. There's no definitive right answer. Yeah, facts traveling in certain areas can change the way you view the world. Of course, depends on the person you are. You still got it good out in the West. I think that I'm somewhat of an empathetic person, only to an extent. But yeah, I mean, when I'm traveling around in true third world countries and stuff and seeing, one block, you'll see a dude that has a fucking compound with marble statues and armed guards, and then 2 more, 3 more blocks down, people are making their houses out of trash. I mean, I've seen that, and it's just a wild concept. Have you ever tried trading strictly using low volume nodes and VWAP and other indicators as confluence? I usually use low volume as entry levels. Don't care too much about value area high, value area low. Value area high and low get used wrong all the time by people anyways. People think that this is my value area high and my value area low, so I need to short value area high and long value area low, but that's not how you should view it at all. You should be viewing it as when you're below the value area low or above the value area high, you're expensive or inexpensive. But these aren't levels that you trade directly off of. People get lost in the sauce and think oh, value area low, I need to buy it. A lot of the times it's going to do this, and you get stopped. So yes, I mean, I kind of already do exactly what you're saying. Most of my altcoin trading is just, HVN, LVN, and VWAP. Appreciate your time. No problem, dude. Do you look at statistics as market specific tendencies, historical swing lengths, volumes of certain days? So I used to be really into like stats and stuff. Back in like 2019 and 2020, I really spent a lot of time back then like gathering stats, and I had a friend that would help me write the programs to analyze all that stuff. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that a lot of the stat stuff for discretionary traders ends up being useless because you're not really gonna apply it as well as you think you are, and the testing is frustrating, guys. If you go and try to gather stats and you're actually good at analytics, you're going to very quickly realize that your stats that you're gathering are very flawed. And the reason for this is because there's so many variables that exist in markets. So if I go and gather stats over this week and then I use that information, it means nothing relative to 10 weeks from now because there's an infinite amount of variables at hand, right? So you think about it, right? Remember when you learned the scientific process back in the day in school, and you learned like, okay, the whole goal of the scientific process is to isolate all the variables and then only have one variable change. So it's stagnant across the board on everything except for that one change I'm making, right? You can't have those constant variables in markets is the problem. I've never figured, well, I shouldn't say you can't. I haven't figured out how to do testing where I actually have stagnant variables and I only change one. That's why I've moved away from stats. That should be clear. What are your ideal scenarios for going long when looking at open interest and volume? I mean, most ideal scenario would have upwards momentum and see open interest going down with lots of selling. A less ideal version would be you're in a downtrend and you see longs get squeezed out and you take the version long. I mean, that's basically how I would explain it. Can you tell alt strength is bearish for the whole market? How can you tell alt strength is bearish for the whole market? Is this currently just a VC exit pumps? Weirdly, some scams holding while corn is getting bunked. So guys, I really think that it just comes down to, if these are the markets, all the altcoins already did this. Right? All the altcoins already did this, and this is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's just like, altcoins maybe didn't go down as much the past like week because they've already gone down fucking 80-90%, right? That's why. So I really think that Bitcoin is just like playing catch up. And the whole altcoin or strong or weak kind of thing, I think most of the time people view that shit wrong because really Bitcoin going up or down is the only thing that's going to matter anyways. There's only a few instances where altcoins doing something differently, or it's going to give you a useful piece of information, and I'm not going to explain that one. I made that video a couple months in the Paragon group, so you can find it there if you want. Leverage only matters for the P&L screenshot. God damn, Trevor's spitting big facts right now. Welcome to crypto Twitter. Leverage only matters so that when I show my P&L screenshot, the number says 7,000% P&L instead of the real P&L, which is 2% on the account. Trevor's spitting. What part of execution has most effect on the EV of your trades? That's a very good question. The problem with that, though, is that you didn't specify what type of trading, because where my execution affects expected value is going to be different depending on different types of trades. For example, my P&L or my execution on entering on a swing will often be a lot sloppier than a scalp, for example. If I don't have a clean entry on a scalp, it basically makes the scalp invalid, right? If I don't get good risk to reward, as good of risk to reward as I can get on the scalp, because risk to reward on scalp almost always suck anyways, right? If I'm late and on the entry, then that means that the expected value is going to be dog shit, right? So let's say market's going up and this was an inefficient move. I got all my confluence. We traded into this is the VWAP band, whatever, right? I've got all my reasons to want to short here. And instead of shorting here, I short here. Well, realistically, this thing's not going to do this. What it's going to do is it's going to come back to its like local trend, right? So it's going to bottom out here. Is this short from here to here okay? Or is this short from here to here okay, right? And it's all about when I entered, even though it's the same trade. No problem, Eddie. Recommendations for VWAP and volume profile nerds. You can read like the old shit, I guess, but realistically, I don't, yeah, I'm not a big fan of reading about trading. There's like there is the original New York Stock Exchange market profile paper that you can read that's from like the 70s. You can read that if you want. You can just type it into Google, it's gonna come up right away. It's very popular. Honestly, guys, for books and stuff, the only kind of books I ever read these days are all just psychology books, so. Hello, why can I not just copy paste you and print money? That's a great question, bro. Doc actually talks about that all the time when he's sharing his trades, that he just don't work that way. One of my best example for that is that I have a good real life friend who got into crypto before I did, and I, you know, through hard work and luck, some things came together for me over time, and I've given him a bunch of trades over the past 3.5, 4 years to copy, and his results are always worse than mine. Even when I tell him like, okay, let's buy ETH at $300 and then not sell it until I tell you to, type shit, and people still fuck it up. I'm not even trying to like bully him or anything too. It's just like, just a good example is all. Would you be able to share any of the trigger strategies you use for getting the best EV entries on the... Could I explain that? Absolutely. Do I want to? I'm going to keep it 100, dude. I don't really want to explain that because it's going to be like a long explanation, and I give away so much stuff anyways as is. I have you know, I probably have like a dozen videos that explain that in the Paragon. Haven't made a psychological mistake in months now, just refining my edge right now. Any tips how to go about refining, making your system more profitable? Well, bro, if you think you haven't made a single psychological mistake in the past couple months, you need to really look inwardly and ask yourself if that's true. Because it's probably not true, dude. Like, I make psychological mistakes every fucking week, right? And I am hyper obsessed with thinking about that stuff. So if you're being honest with yourself, it's probably not true that you're not making mistakes. But to answer your question, any tips for how to go about refining and make your systems more profitable? I don't know if I have a good answer for how to make it more profitable, but what I could say is that one of the big goals that you guys should all have over time is once you find your approach, this approach makes sense for me. Your approach should be continuously trying to make it more efficient, not necessarily about more profitable, quote unquote, but more efficient. So what I mean by that is making things more streamlined, right? Having less bullshit, less variables you have to think of, less unnecessary things, and just getting streamlined so it's just like, I have only what I need kind of approach. I think that's really goals for you guys, especially because a lot of you guys are in the experimental stage. You're testing this thing, testing that thing. You're going to end up with a billion fucking tools, and you're never going to make a good decision. Fair enough. Yeah, Raven, I just don't want to do a super long explanation on it, to be honest. Also, I think that either next week or the week after this, I think I'm going to do an extra bonus stream one week and do an order flow specific stream. But I'm going to make you guys work in that scenario as well, and not just make it just giving you shit away for free. I think it's because my system is a little less discretionary than most. All right, that's fair, but you still, like, if you're still being super honest with yourself, then you're making psychological mistakes. Like, I make psychological mistakes every day regardless of what I'm doing, whether it's trading or not. I feel like I try my absolute best to be on top of that stuff. I think about these concepts every day, and you still make mistakes. Have you started recording your backstory video yet? Looking forward to watching it. No, I didn't yet, dude. I have so many fucking things I need to make right now. I'm really, really behind on all the things I want to make. So, no, I didn't start yet. And I can't promise when that's going to happen, if I'm being honest. I think it's just because I already read that. The bigger my portfolio goes, the harder it is for me to trade. I struggle on $1 million position on 1x, but I am very calm with 50x. Yeah, I mean, that's funny how that works, right? You're not alone on that one, dude. As your portfolios grow, it becomes harder to trade for basically everybody. Handling the psychology of the swings on big P&L is so fucking hard, right? And then also like the actual execution, you know, it's difficult to execute the larger you get, right? If you're trading with $1,000 account, you can get in and out of basically anything you want. You know, with a breeze, you could just market order everything and it's never gonna matter, right? But the bigger you get, the harder it becomes to execute properly. So I think that that's pretty common, that the more money you have, the harder it gets to do everything. Realistically, what you need to do is you just trade with a smaller percentage of your money. The more money you have, the smaller a percentage of your total worth you should trade with, right? Like the example we just gave. If you have $500,000 net worth, you shouldn't be trading with 500K. You should be trading with, you know, 100 to 200 probably, you know? And then the more you know, so that's 500K. Well, let's say what if you have 5 mil, how much should you be trading with, right? Should you be trading with 5 mil if you have 5 mil? No. You know, if 5 mil was my net worth, I probably wouldn't even trade with 2.5. I'd probably trade like between 500K and a mil sizing. To a lot of the degenerates out there, that is me being a pussy. But the reality is that that's me being able to, that's me trading with a threshold that I can handle psychologically and perform well still. Any trips on how to seduce a trader girl, buddy? Not every single major religion in the world is not enough for you. Cutting out bad trades is huge. Crazy. How do you actually define what level holds? Like Bitcoin price action, it's holding. August 24th, it looks like it's holding. But rugged, my biggest struggle. Yeah, like levels don't fucking matter, guys. We think that we're gonna draw a level on our chart, and then I'm just gonna sell into it or buy into it, and it's gonna be easy. But that's just not how things work, right? Yes, levels go boink or bonk. Yes, I understand that, but you need some sort of extra shit. That's why, you know, I moved to flow over the years, because I don't really care about, you know, if price is trending up, and let's say I want to short, it's kind of grinding up and it's starting to do the pops and lose momentum, right? Okay, so I want to short this thing soon, and this is my level. Do you guys really think that I sit here and just fucking try to short this level? Or do you think that I use my discretion and say, I don't really care if I'm selling here, or if I'm selling, you know, if I'm shorting here, or if I'm shorting here. If I'm getting confluence in the flow that this is where I want to short, then I'm going to short there regardless of what the, you know, if I'm above or below the resistance. I don't care. I will front run it or I will go beyond it regardless. I'm looking for reasons to take positions based off flow, not magic lines. Speaking of psychology, how do you think aging is affecting you? He's quietly throwing shots at me. He's calling me old, boys. Yeah, great question. So in the earlier stages of your life, it's going to be easier to take risks, right? You have less responsibility. If you blow up, you can, you know, recover. As you get older, you have more responsibility, and your ability to recover from huge catastrophic mistakes is less, right? Or you're less likely to recover. So, because, you know, I've always been somewhat risk adverse, because in the earlier days of my trading, I made money and then lost it. So losing that money is just like scarred me. So I don't like letting go of the money that I make. So I've always been pretty risk adverse, and as I'm getting older, I'm just becoming more and more risk adverse and trading with a smaller percentage of my total net worth. I think that's probably the best way I could explain it. JL, get those likes up, lads. Yeah, 170 of you in here, 51 likes. Press like for me, boys. It really helps with the algo a lot. I know it's stupid for me to ask, but it helps with the algo. And I want to get my stream in front of the eyes of people that, you know, maybe need some guidance, and not just somebody to tell them to buy a $10,000 shitcoin. Last time everyone got hyped about the Trump conference, crypto just bled until he was talking about, should I stay awake UK time to buy the bottom after the debate? I can't predict some shit like that. Do you believe uni studies are needed to trade, like math probability classes or econ? No, definitely not, dude. I'm not trying to be an anti-school person, because I think that that's bad advice that we give nowadays. A lot of people are just like, school's terrible, it's going to be useless, right? You're just going to go into debt. It really just depends on what you want to do. Simple question. Do you really, like, do any of you guys really think that some professor at a university is going to teach you how to trade? or teach you how to be a market participant. There's like almost zero chance, right? Those people are not going to be able to teach you. Some guy that fucking teaches from a textbook at university is going to be teaching you about theoretics. Now, having said that, computer science, upper level math, you know, I mean, fuck, you need upper level math if you want to be a quant, right? I mean, the mathematics that my quant partner does is fucking insane. Dude's got a master's in mathematics, and I can barely add 2 + 2. So it really just depends on what you want to do, right? If you want to be a doctor, you obviously need to go to school. If you want to be a degenerate that just gambles on pump fund coins, you don't need to go to school for that. I think school is great but only when you have a good idea of what you want to do, right? If you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you have a specific job in mind, then you go to school for that. I think that's great. If you don't know what you want to do, you should not go to school just because you don't know what you want to do. That's the mistake I made. I went to university for no fucking reason. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I just went to school. The mental of execution at large size as well, drawdowns within limits isn't as bad, but ending a trade either way becomes more taxing. Forgot what you originally said, but yes. Do you scalp or mostly swing/day trade? It has entirely to do with what kind of regime we're in, right? If we look at this chart right here, you know, these days I'm mostly swing trading. These days I'm mostly intraday trading. These days I was mostly scalping. So it really just has to do with what's the market's giving me for opportunity. If I could choose between the two, I'm always going to choose the momentum swings because that's where I make my shmoney. Let's say Bitcoin goes to 100K and I want to swap my whole portfolio to USDT. Why do I have the fear in my head of getting blacklisted by Tether or USD going to 0 suddenly? I imagine that means you probably just haven't been in crypto that long. I've held, let's please not jinx it or anything, but I've held both of those stables, or ULIS and Tether both, but USDC and Tether I've used a lot over the years. I use them on different chains too. If those stables get rugged, we're in deep shit, but honestly that means that all of crypto will go 0 anyway, so it is what it is. I don't sit there and worry about those things. Mags, when you look at flow, what are some tips you're looking at for imbalance? High volume, little price change. Okay, so there's 2 different types of imbalance, right? I think you're talking about an imbalance which I wouldn't define this as imbalance, where the price doesn't move that much, like you have really big candles and then the price doesn't move that much, but you had a huge volume come in, right? Normally when people are talking about imbalance though, they're talking about on a footprint, you're seeing like this is all sells and there was no buys, or I said that backwards, but you get my point. Some tips for looking at imbalance. Shit, dude, I don't know, man. What do you look at it flow when looking for tips for imbalance, right? So, I mean, essentially, I'm just looking for people to make mistakes, right? People to open positions in a stupid way or people to close positions in a stupid way. I really think that that's just the best way to explain that stuff. You set a stop when trading flow. So mostly how I handle my risk is manual. So if, we can use the short example from earlier where it's like kind of grinding up and then starts to get a little less efficient and show momentum loss. If I short here, how I handle things is I do hard stop, mental stop. So I'll put my hard stop like up here, like out in the air, out in the middle of nowhere. And then I will use a mental stop, which is either, I don't really want to see a trade beyond that high, but it's really not about deviating the high. It's going to be more about what does price structure look like, right? Once I short into this, I don't want to see price structuring continuing to grind, right? If it keeps grinding right here, I'm just going to close it out and lose 0.3R or whatever, right? But, so hopefully that makes sense, right? There's obviously a shitload of conversation that could go into that, but I do hard stop, manual stop, and I'm a very staunch believer in Dynamic risk reward. Should be more concerned about the bank confiscating that money once you off ramp. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that's actually it's become a much bigger problem over the years too. I barely touch on trading in France. For the most part, they teach you that you can't outperform the market. Well, realistically, you know, the average person can't, right? Trade schools or universities for careers that you need school for. Yeah, simple. Yeah, there's no, we don't need to overcomplicate it, right? You go to school if you have an idea of what you want to go to school for. Systematically analyzing volume as a trigger. It just doesn't work, dude, because like I always explain it like this, like a $10 million sell on Bitcoin today could be a lot, where tomorrow it could be a small amount, you know? So having fixed, you know, like volume thresholds and stuff, I just don't really believe in. Everything needs to be in ratios if you want to do it that way, not fixed. Do you have a clue why scammers like Moon Carl are not in prison? It's not easy to build cases against these people, probably is what it comes down to. I think, yeah, these people need to make mistakes and be very public for these retarded government agencies to go after them, right? They need to essentially paint it like, here's the evidence against me, and hand it to them. Or you need that person to be like have like a political rival. What do you say when normal people ask you what you do? Well, I don't really have those kind of conversations all that often because I don't really interact with random people. And yeah, like if I interact with a random person and just meet them for the first time, I'm not really interested in talking about work. All my friends and family have a good idea of what I do, generally speaking. I'll just make shit up though, man. I'll fucking say I do network security. I say that all the time because you can literally watch people's eyes roll into the back of their head when you say I do network security. They fall asleep while you're talking to them. I say shit like that. I say shit like online marketing. I just like say like stupid, you know, internet related jobs that sound boring so that people don't ask me more questions. When I meet people, I don't want to talk about fucking what you do for work. I want to like hear something interesting. Maybe I want to hear what they do for work. I don't want to talk about my shit though. This might sound contradictory because I come on these streams and just talk about myself for an hour, but in real life I don't like talking about myself. Where would you swing long Bitcoin? If Bitcoin goes over 60K, I will look for longs. If Bitcoin trades down here and then rounds out and creates a bottom, I will swing long. But where that level is going to be, who fucking knows? Janitor. Bro, that's what I should tell people. Yeah, I'm a garbage man. It's not, to say I'm a garbage man is really not that far off. It's not that inaccurate. Janitor or RT. My doctor and barber always default to what do you do for work. That's fair. I mean, it's just one of the easiest small talk kind of conversations. You ask that, then people start talking about what they do in their lives. And when you ask people about themselves, they are, you know, gonna be more forthcoming with talking about stuff. People love to talk about themselves. 100%, but sadly people these days only talk about work. It depends like what geographically where you're from, I think. But sure, I see, you know, they talk about where they work. I see it by friends and family. 70% of their conversations are about work. That's true too. Like I've also seen that where like a lot of people, I see this with like certain family members that are, you know, professionals, quote unquote. It's like a fucking Saturday and they like want to talk shit about somebody that they work with or whatever. It's like, that's fucking crazy to me. I can't imagine, like on my Saturday, I don't think about the Bitcoin chart that much. I can assure you that. I'm definitely not thinking about talking shit about somebody on Twitter, so I don't understand why people get stuck in those ways of thinking. But ultimately, a lot of those people just hate their lives and hate their jobs. That's why. But then we have 65K resistance. Yeah, but dude, look, it's like a subjective thing. I'm looking for us to get over 60K, and I said this at the beginning of the stream, right? Getting over 60K doesn't mean shit, right? I don't care if we get over 60K. We've already done that, right? This one failed. This one failed. I want to get over 60K. Get over 60K and then give me a reason from a flow standpoint to want to get long. Not like both of these times, particularly this time. I shorted this one. I just closed it too early. I was pretty confident 65K would get bonked, right? I need some actual follow through from flows. And I know that the follow-up question is, well, what does that look like? I'm not going to explain that. I'm tired. I explain too much shit as is, right? You guys can totally figure that out too based off all the other lessons I've given you. Something my mentor made me do, he never really spelled things out for me. My mentor made me figure out stuff for myself more, which in hindsight, I'm very appreciative. I'm going to start trying to do that to you guys more, if I'm being honest. Make you guys figure shit out on your own, because you're going to appreciate the knowledge a lot more. You're going to value it more. You're going to use it more effectively too. How are the workouts going? Feeling notable difference between your performance when actively working out? Yeah, so like last month, I took like a solid month off because I had an injury. And yeah, I'm back to lifting, and I think I'm going to start bulking again soon. I cut throughout the whole summer, and I think I'm going to start bulking again here. There's definitely a direct correlation between my how much fitness I'm doing and how I perform in anything I compete in, whether that's trading or competitive gaming. I do way better, like over time, you know, through the law of big numbers. My performance is way better when I'm working out a lot. I had shorty 65K. All the bull posting messed me up, and I closed it early. Sorry, brother, but it's just a good lesson that, you know, the yappers on the timeline, you know, they got no idea what's going on. People on your timeline are like news reporters, right? Or they're the weathermen, right? So, you know, oh, it's raining. So then CT tells you it's raining. Oh, it's sunny outside. And then CT is going to tell you it's sunny outside. But they're never going to tell you that there's a cloud coming in that's about to cover up the sun tomorrow, right? They're never going to tell you that. They're going to tell you it's sunny or it's not sunny. They're never going to explain to you what's next. What's next is what matters. So you guys gotta stop paying attention to random people until they have shown you that they have some level of validity. But don't worry, bro. I fumbled that short too. I shorted 65K. I had a really good entry, and I closed it at 62. And then just like 10, 12 hours later, Bitcoin went down like 5-6% right after I closed it. What's your playlist? I gotta cook a public playlist at some point. 60 and 65K major lines in the sand. I agree. What do you think about telling your parents about how you're learning to trade, especially when you're young? The reality is that you're not going to get support for your life with this path, because it's a stupid path. I'm not, you know, you expect me to probably tell you it's going to work and be sunshine and rainbows and come join my paid group. But the reality is that most of you guys are going to fail as traders. So I can imagine being a parent and then seeing my kid say that to me and then being like, wow, this is a terrible decision. You know, my dad was really hard on me when I talked about that, and he's been relatively absent anyways. So, you know, there's that part of me that wanted to prove him wrong, definitely, which I do think increased my likelihood of success, because I had a reason other than making money. If your only reason to trade is to make money, you're gonna have a bad time. You need to do it because there's something wrong with you and you're overly compelled to do it. So yeah, I mean, it can be a good thing if your parents shit on you when you tell them you're gonna do that, because it could be motivation for you, right? You will run into rough periods and you need that chip on your shoulder to push forward. Even then, a lot of people saying what's next are wrong or being paid to be wrong. Yeah, well, the whole being paid to be wrong thing is new. But yeah, I can't believe how disgusting we've gotten with the altcoin shilling, and these foundations just pay larger accounts to say our coin is bullish so that retards buy it, and then you can sell into them. I've gotten plenty of those offers, and I just basically either ignore or block everybody that sends it to me. So you know, if I ever post about altcoin, I'm posting about it because I want to, not because somebody's paying me. It's crazy. So many accounts are doing that shit too. Even accounts that I used to like. And it's like, wait, oh, you're nowhere near as good of a trader as I thought you were, clearly. What are some of the management habits you employ? I find myself usually entering with full port, then 2x on a dip, then 3x on another dip, blowing myself out like a moron. Well, first of all, stop doing that. Per what I was saying earlier, you guys gotta stop trading with all your money, right? The less money you have, the larger a percentage of your total worth you have to trade with. Because if you only have $1,000, then you need to trade with, like, 200 of that or something, right? The more money you have, the smaller a total percentage of your portfolio you should be trading with. You got to just stop doing what you're doing right there, right? If you're entering full port at the beginning, then 2xing, then 3xing, you should never be trading 3x your net worth or 3x your portfolio, right? I never even come close to trading leverage on my whole portfolio yet. Most of my trades are small fractions of my total portfolio. A lot of that, the reason why people do make that mistake that you're making too is you want it too fast, right? You're chasing the dragon, and you need to understand that the best way to do this is slow and steady. I love the tortoise and the hare example. I've used that a bunch too, right? There's a reason why the tortoise and the hare, platitude gets taught to children, because being slow and steady and consistent in life is a lot of the time going to be a much more reliable approach to moving forward than sprinting all out, right? You just pay attention to that on your own, and it'll make sense if it doesn't already. I'm a slow and steady guy. I've been the tortoise in this game, and no, I'm not, the richest out of all my friends by any means, but I'm big chillin'. Did you ever get a 6-digit offer to shill a shitcoin on Twitter? So normally I never even get to that point where they don't say the numbers right away. Normally they want to engage you in conversation and then they offer you the money. So I normally don't even see the dollar amounts because I just tell them to go fuck themselves. Or my new favorite thing is where I just reply with really disgusting memes to them. Yeah, I'm pretty immature. Trading is like participating in the chase glitch. That's funny. I might have to tweet that, bro. That's funny. That's the type of tweet that will either get 16 likes or 1600 likes. That's good. No problem, dude. Mag, just want to say thank you for all the free content. No problem, dude. Recently joined the Paragon. Love to hear it. Try to get my feet with the education. Extremely valuable. Cannot thank you enough. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it, Tex. Well, if you have a tight stop, you could have position size equivalent to your portfolio. No. I mean, theoretically, you're not wrong in saying that, but it is stupid still, right? Because the larger your position size, when you get stopped out, what happens when you're in a big trade and you get stopped? You get slipped. So the bigger, I just don't understand why anybody would, unless you're fucking poor, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, I'm just being objectively honest, right? Unless you're poor, you should not be trading with a huge chunk of your money. Realistically, most of you guys should be focused on just trading well versus trading to make money anyways, right? Trade it with a small amount of money and just get your confidence up and tell yourself you can even fucking trade small effectively, right? I'm telling you, the psychological impacts of trading big are very hard. I've literally given up. I was having this conversation recently. I don't really like to talk about this stuff that much, but I think it'll be maybe a valuable lesson, so I'll dox this a little more than I normally want to. Over the years, I did successfully scale up quite a lot. And in 2021, that was when I was consistently trading. That's when I was consistently trading the largest on size. And so just for example, I was regularly trading 7-figure positions back then. And this year alone, I've only taken 4 trades that were that big. And 2 or 3 of them were hedges. So hopefully that makes sense that you don't you don't actually have to be that guy that says, oh, I'm just going to keep trading bigger and bigger until I can't handle it anymore. I couldn't push past that mid 7-figure threshold. Whenever I tried to, I just fucked up bigly. And eventually I one day just said, do I need to be this fucking guy, right? Do I need to be the guy that trades 8-figure, 9-figure positions? And then I realized, like, I don't need to be that guy. I'm doing just fine either way. So over the past year or so, or maybe even almost 2 years now, I have not actually tried to push my size forward anymore. Bro, you're acting like we're all big traders. We don't really get slipped. But dude, you're talking about having tight stops if you have your entire portfolio size on. Regardless of whether you're getting slipped or not, Jonathan, it doesn't make sense for you to be full porting your trades. It's the most tiresome and boring lesson that I can give to you guys. It's the survival thing. You've heard that from so many trading accounts, and it's because it's legitimately one of the best pieces of advice. You should not be putting yourself in a situation where you can get killed today. You should be putting yourself in a position to survive. Not being controlled by greed is an underrated superpower. Yeah, dude. That's thought-provoking for me, to be honest. I am and I'm not. There's definitely some ways where I am controlled by my greed, and the way that things work in life, and this is just how we're programmed, when you don't have something, that something seems like a lot. When you have something, it never feels like it's as big and as impactful as it was when you didn't have it. So that's how I view the money stuff, right? You have money, it feels like it's so far out of reach and would be so incredible if you have it. Then you have some money and it doesn't really feel as powerful as you think. So that's why greed takes over, because you continuously want more and more. But the flip side to that is that I don't have a family or anything right now. So right now I don't really need more money. I know I need more money in the long term because I want to have kids and a wife and stuff, and that shit ain't cheap. I'm just spitballing randomly. Hopefully that makes sense. How long did you trade with 4 to 5 figures? 2014, 15, 16, 17. So probably 4 years. 2017 was the first year where I like broke those kind of numbers into the 6s. And that's just because the crypto market went up so much in 2017. So yeah, it took me probably like, that's such an uncommon way to hear that too, right? Most people are like, oh, I was trading 6 figures in my first year. Yeah, you were, pussy. Now that wasn't really mostly 5 figs, right? But that was mostly on stocks and commodities, right? I used to trade silver a lot. I used to trade tech stocks a lot back then. So that was primarily when that was. The only reason why I leveled up from there too was just because crypto went up and I made money. Cheers, Jonathan. Dogecoin against Bitcoin looking bottomy. Yeah, that doesn't look bad. I don't ever chart things against Bitcoin anymore. I'd rather just chart it against the dollar. Most altcoins, I mean, we're not going to do the altcoin talk today because you guys ended up just asking a billion questions and I never even moved on. But realistically, you know, there's like very, very few altcoins that look good at all right now. I'm trying to learn flow with indicators on TradingView, but I always run into the issue that the list is huge with a lot of useless indicators. What is the best free delta indicator, for example? I'm pretty sure just use the fucking built-in TradingView one, right? There you go. Just use the built-in TradingView stuff if you don't have access to custom ones. All mine are custom before you guys ask. A lot of people came up in 2017. Me too. But still not at that dollar level, so I keep learning. Well, guys, I quit my job. I got really lucky with Chainlink in 2019, and that set me up to quit my job in 2020. So that's a big part of it for me, which I don't attribute to any sort of skill. I was just bought Chainlink because it was a good coin and good memes, and it went up. opinion on prop funded accounts, yeah, I'm not a big fan of any of that kind of stuff. You know, it's not to, you know, say directly to anybody specifically or anything, but I mean, generally speaking, those are just a fee leeching mechanism. I've been asked more than once to be a part of something like that, and you know, I always say no. And what I say in the Paragon group is, if I ever start something like that, just know it's because I wanna milk you guys for fees, because that's what the purpose of those things are. Maybe there's some pros or some cons, I don't know. The whole funding thing, I never liked that anyways, because I was introduced to real prop trading earlier on. My mentor and a bunch of my good friends were legitimate prop traders that worked at a fund that, you know, they actually got their profit share and, you know, traded with the fund's money and stuff, a legitimate prop fund. Nowadays, those just don't even exist. It's just all these, like, give us $200 and then if you pass the test, you can trade for us kind of thing. I don't fuck with that stuff. Love this slow grind up on Bitcoin. Are we slow grinding? I'm short right now, so I don't like that. We'll see. Chat really asks the same question every stream. It's true. Lessons, max bidding words wise. But I do answer things differently every time. Can we please get a current market outlook? Yeah, dude. I'll do one real quick for us. I already did the higher time frame. So essentially, TLDR and the VWAPs, we're looking for the reclaims. So there's not a whole lot to say on that. This is essentially how I saw this playing out this week. Either we were going to immediately bonk off 55k, which didn't play out, so we can delete that one. So essentially, I think that we're going to, you know, this is major upside FTA down right here, right? So this is a local downtrend. And, you know, I want nothing more than a reason to be bullish above here. But as it stands, I do think that a dead cat is the most likely. So that's where I'm at right now. I don't really have super high conviction on directional trading. Most of the trading I'm doing is just intraday stuff. Like I have an intraday trade open right now, which is, I need to close the rest of it out probably here soonish. But yeah, to be honest, I just, at this point in the stream, I'm just like already mentally fried from answering questions for an hour straight. So don't really have too much left to offer you guys. I'm probably going to wrap it up here very soon. Hopefully we learned something. Stay hydrated out there, gang. Whenever I have more conviction on direction or something, I'll share. Charlie on later? Yeah, Charlie should be streaming later today. If stocks go into a multi-year bear market, how fucked would crypto be? Well, realistically, we have no idea because that's never happened before. But yeah, I mean, it's safe to assume we'd be fucked, right? Big time. Ain't nobody gonna be buying Bitcoin if the S&P's, you know, goes down to $3,000 or something, right? Like nobody's gonna be buying Bitcoin, so they're only gonna be selling. So yeah, our crypto would be absolutely cooked. No problem, Jail. Where are you planning to close out your short? I was probably just gonna be targeting the weekly. But I mean, realistically, I think that it could go lower. So, I mean, it's intraday, so I'll probably be trying to fully close out around 56. I already closed out half before I turn the stream on because that's a rule I always do. But yeah, ideally, I'd be closing it out like another 1,000 points lower probably. I shorted this. I got fucking sniper entry today. Let me tab over. $57,418. Literally, fucking Schmiko top shorted it this morning. Like I'm feeling like a Gigi Chad right now. All right, gang. No, that's gonna do it for me. I'm gonna hang out for like another minute or so, and then pop out. Hopefully, we enjoyed the stream today. Hopefully, we learned something, or at the very least, had a laugh. Exo, Shield, say, and indicate there's a good outlook on Q4. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Exo and I trade extremely differently. I saw on Twitter that you were working on some educational content. Are those going to be posted there? Yeah, I'm making a lot of education on Twitter right now. Can we look at Caspa? I don't think Caspa's really cooking. Oh, we need to... Doesn't look too bad. Shout out to Jacek for helping me revamp the bubbles, by the way. So wouldn't it be best to then chart the S&P? I mean, you could do that if you want, dude. That's definitely not how I'm gonna do it, though. I really like trusting my rate on Bitcoin. That's worked well for me. Thanks, dude. You have a good one as well. Cheers, Simple. Cheers, Imok. How's your face at Elo looking? Terrible, bro. I lost 4 in a row. I'm level 5 right now, dude. In my defense, for Face It though, I didn't play Face It in CSGO. So I only have like 70 matches total. I was level 6 and now I'm level 5, which is pretty embarrassing, honestly. But with only like 70 matches total, that's why. Give me 500 matches and I'll be like level 8 or 9. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Appreciate all the kind words, etc., etc. I went from 23k Premier to 21. That's not that bad, bro. Shit, I don't even have a Premier rank anymore. I was 19k, and I don't even have a Premier rank. How do I join the Paragon? Easy shill. Let's see if I can actually operate my Twitter or not. Here you go, brother. It's not just me either. I got 2 other partners, plus a bunch of other bonus people that they're not officially on the team, but we have a bunch of people like XO and Sting and stuff to help us out as well. GG, bro. Take care. Nope. You do the same, brother. Cheers, Fern. Cheers, Vic. All right, everybody. That is it for me. I will see you guys next week. Peace, everybody.